So today I want to talk to you guys about some strategy thinking that all of you should be thinking about before you submit to music libraries. Maybe some of you haven't even submitted yet. Maybe some of you already have. But either way, wherever you are, this is a really big question that Ryan Rice, the producer that's with me here for this Google chat, was going through himself. Now, he signed up for SyncEdge, got a contract fairly quickly, got a email back within 30 minutes, got a phone call from the library's owner shortly after that. And they jumped all over his music. And so he was really excited about it. But there was an issue in terms of Ryan had a lot of music ready to be licensed. He had 2 full albums essentially ready to go. And when they said, yes, we love your music, send it all over to us, he had sort of a second guess of like, well, do I want to send actually all of my music to one company? Is that the smartest move? What are the pros and cons of doing that? What scenarios would I maybe not want to do that and maybe spread myself out into a couple of different libraries? So I want to talk about that today with Ryan. But first of all, Ryan, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for taking the time today, man.
Oh, no, thank you, Jesse. So glad to be here, man. Thanks for all you do for this community. It's really impressive.
Well, it's all worth it because of success stories like yours here and just seeing that you're getting your foot in the door and seeing some success. Just before we started recording this, you shared something that I thought was really important about you discovering that somebody had found value in your music, probably for one of the first times in your career. Can you share me a little bit more about what that felt like getting accepted by that library?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I've been creating for over a decade now, and just got a bunch of music stockpiled, all different kinds of genres, and a lot of it feels like it either never gets finished or falls by the wayside. I've had some limited success with my music. I do know an editor over at the Steve Wilkos show, so I've got over like 300 placements with them, but never really gotten the option to collect royalties. Do this on the legit. I was kind of a ghostwriter, and they would just pay me like a little chunk of change to keep me quiet. So I kind of felt I was underselling myself a little bit. And then I started doing freelance work, more ghostwriter stuff, no royalties on the back end. And I would just get, a tiny little bit. I would pretty much set my own price, but I would make it about for like a minute of custom music. I would do like $100. So that was like kind of paying my bills, but, never making these serious relationships with serious, contenders in this game. So now I finally feel like I took the time to revamp my website based on your advice, used Wix, made it all sparkle. I was on Verb, switched over from them because it wasn't quite enough for me. So I did that, took those extra steps, branded myself, created a logo, and I actually put together, I don't know if I was unclear, I put together 8 albums for licensing to go to approach a library with. And I told them these 2 are most applicable to you because I see you guys do tension, et cetera, et cetera. So they started by checking out my website because everything was just so well packaged together. They sent me an email within 30 minutes saying, yes, we're interested, but we're going to send you a contract, but can you send us what is applicable to this contract? Because they don't want to waste their time checking out something that's maybe non-exclusive. But when I sent back that all those tracks were exclusively available, they immediately sent me back with all of the names filled out. And it really just made me feel like, it's not all for nothing. It's you put in the time and effort and somebody's going to notice it and take you seriously.
Absolutely. And I was sharing with you too that was exactly my feeling when I first got started in the licensing business. Before I was doing this, I was, in bands and I was going to studios till 4 in the morning, hoping I could get a feature on somebody's album or artist or track or whatever. And it just was, I was spinning my wheels. I was getting no money. I was paying money, with gas and time and energy, and I was losing sleep. And just nothing was like working. I just wasn't finding the sort of path of least resistance. And when I finally saw that there was a library that wanted to sign my music, that wanted to pay me, that wanted to get me out there and start helping me collect those royalties and get those placements, it really was that sense of like, it gave me that confidence, that boost of, oh, okay, I can actually be a professional doing this. It does make a big difference. It's not like a huge giant leap forward in your career to get accepted by a library, but it is that first crucial step that does give you a little bit of that sort of, you kind of get a little bit of swag to your walk now because you know that somebody out there recognizes that you have something to offer and you have talent. So, and the fact that you were able to put together 8 albums, yeah, I didn't catch that when we talked. That's a lot of music to be able to crank out without even knowing where it's going to end up. So you have godlike patience, my friend. Like that, most producers can't even do 1 album without knowing if it's going to really land anywhere specific. But the fact that you were patiently putting together that big of a catalog is just incredible, man. That's a really good, you have patience, and that's a really good virtue to have in this industry. So I want to talk about, though, the fact where you had emailed me once you got accepted, and you were a little bit concerned about sending all 45 tracks over to this one particular library. So can you share with me some of your hesitation and why you were sort of second guessing maybe sending all that music over?
Just because I had spent like the last 3, 4 months, working the hard job, but really sacrificing to put these albums together. So I wanted to make sure they were at least in hands that cared to do something with them. And then, why I knew that I was okay sending all 45 and that they accepted all 45, I was ecstatic to give it to them, was based off of your opinion in this industry, off of their reputation. I mean, I could have gone and researched myself with over 1,000 libraries and really felt hesitant to hand it over because nobody's vouching for them. I could look into them, which I did look into this library, and their reputation is through the roof. So I'm just ecstatic to be associated with that. And I feel like anything they want from me, I'm willing to give them right now. So they're kind of, like you said, my new girlfriend, and I got to like take care of them and give them all these treats to keep me relevant to them. So yeah, I feel really good, especially since it was such a focused attack on them with your help and your recommendations, and that this was one of the first libraries you brought up out of all the libraries you could have. I felt that it was really on another level, and I was, honored to just be a part of it.
That's awesome. And it also speaks to your talent and your hard work too, because they don't just accept anybody. You do have to have some pretty high quality tracks. I mean, they're not just taking anybody on there. So it does speak to your level of commitment to your own craft too, which is really good. But, and if I can give you guys my 2 cents on the sort of opinion on when is it appropriate, let's say you had 45 songs, but that was, let's say, I mean, Ryan obviously had more than that. He had these, 8 albums out there, but let's say you only had 45 songs. When is it a good idea to just send all 45 of those to the first library that can accept them? And when is it a good idea to maybe send 20 to this library, maybe 20 to another library? And basically what I told Ryan, and I'll repeat it here, is if you have a specific library in mind right now that or let's say you've got one right already in your head, and this Ryan already had this one that he wanted to submit to. So that's number one. If there's a second one that you also feel is like, you know what, they got some great stuff going on too, I'd like to kind of play with both of them, and I think you guys should be doing and looking for probably 2, maximum 3, I would say, libraries to be working with in your career. I was able to pull off a full-time income working for basically 2 to 3 at a time. I mean, now every one of them might swap out every couple of years. One of them kind of goes to sleep on me. They don't do as much. I go shopping, I find another one. Sometimes you just have to wait and see how active they are with your music, how many placements you get. You really actually never know. Even a library that gets huge placements or regular, like a large quantity of placements, your music, obviously there's no, guarantees for this business. So you just kind of hope that your music is being marketed and presented and obviously hosted on their platform, their licensing platform for their clients to select. But at the end of the day, most of the time, it's a subjective opinion from a supervisor, from a client, from an ad agency. So you really just hope that you're producing the best and the most licensable music. And that's really the only control you have. But as long as you're doing your part to provide really high quality licensable music, and also, as Ryan pointed out, relevant to that particular catalog that you're submitting to, you've got the best chances. You got the best odds stacked up in your favor. But so if you have that second library that you feel, I want to go work with this library and this library, that would be a great time for you to probably not send all of your music to one library, because now it's going to take you a couple of months to have to build up another, couple of albums. So if you have a situation like that and you've got 2 that you got your eye on, I would say probably try to split up your catalog into 2 or maybe 3 if you have a couple of different genres that you do. I know Ryan does quite a few. And basically shop the appropriate genres to the appropriate library, and then you save the other music for the other one. And then what you can do is measure them. You A/B test your way through the year, and you see which one's getting you more feedback, which one's giving you more attention. And then ultimately, we always measure it based on royalties, right? We got to base it on how many placements are you getting? What are the amounts of those placements? At the end of the day, it's really money. How much money are you making from each, from library A and library B? And after a year or 2 of working with them, you can kind of start to see, well, library A is really coming to par for me. They're really giving me a lot of these placements. Library B, some, but not as much. All right, well, now you should probably shift your catalog maybe 75% here, 25% there. You need to adjust that as well to kind of decide where you want to put your time in. maybe library B fell asleep on you completely and you've got nothing from them and it's been a year and a half and they're starting to like not return your phone calls and get lazy on emails and all that stuff. All right, let them go. It's time to say goodbye. Who knows what's going on with them? It's happened to me. I've been working with libraries for 5 years, and then suddenly, this is a kind of a common thing that happens, is there might be an A&R sort of an artist sort of representative that kind of is the connection for you and the library. You don't necessarily talk always to the CEO, but there might be somebody under the CEO that really deals with all the writers and producers. Well, I was dealing with one person that was involved with one of these catalogs, and he ended up leaving the company and started his own. Now, he took me with him, and he said, hey, I'm starting this new catalog. I want you to be one of my writers. I said, absolutely. You've been like nothing but a champion for me for 5 years. Let's go. Now, the other one, I didn't really have a relationship directly with the CEO. We talked once in a while. I actually did fly out and meet him once, but it's kind of a flimsy, not so close relationship. And so we attempted to keep working together for a couple of months, and then the whole thing just started fizzling out. He started getting interested in other projects, and the whole catalog library just kind of went out of business, right? I think they still have their catalog out there, but they're not collecting new music. They're not actively pushing anymore. What are you going to do? That's just life, right? Sometimes people just kind of have other priorities. So your job is, as a producer, is recognize when that's happening. And the first sign is when you get the sort of, you email them and it's a month later they get back to you, right? Or you call them and they're just not returning your calls or your texts. They just kind of are falling asleep on you. That's always a red warning flag that maybe something is happening there that you should maybe think about jumping ship. Could be that they're just busy, but usually people who want you to stick around, they're going to return your calls, return your emails within a timely manner. Maybe a day or two. They should be able to get back to you. A week at the max, they should be able to return some sort of an inquiry you might have. So sorry for the long rant, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. And so, Ryan, I'm really excited for you. I know you're going to be very busy now, cranking out a lot of music, and I wish nothing for the best for you with this new library. I think you're going to see some incredible things. And the fact that they jumped all over you as fast as they did, yeah, that usually means that they want to sort of wrap their hands around you. Libraries, when they find talent and they find exactly that exclusively available music, yep, that's when they're going to really want to kind of corner you in and keep you close to them. So definitely push with them, and see what happens. And then, but I do recommend you start looking for also probably a second library to start feeding as well. So you can at least measure it, right? Because if you don't have anything to measure it against, how do you know if you're doing well or not? So you should really sort of A/B test your way and looking in for somebody else to start working with. And I know you'll be able to do that because you got the talent and the drive to do so.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, I was going to say, now I'm just going to start playing that game and building up to pitch to another library. And the reason I kind of went on this leap of faith is because he was so excited about my stuff and even paid me such a compliment to say, like, it has this youthfulness about it. And, he's kind of saying these other guys aren't able to, like, do this certain youthful, young stuff, this new sound. And I'm like, man, please just, run with my stuff. You seem excited. You're reputable. So, yeah, it's really exciting just to get started in this. And I feel really great. I appreciate immensely all your advice and everything. So just thank you so much.
You're very welcome, man. I'm just glad you're taking it and doing something with it. That's really what I love to hear, is that it's not just falling on deaf ears and one ear out the other, but you're actually doing what you should be doing and you're actually seeing the results, man. It's a really cool thing. So thank you so much again for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care.